Iceland. Me and my mom. That's my mom.
Hi.
And we went for 5 days. We did a mother-daughter trip with Here and Now Travel. We're going to mention Here and Now a lot throughout this video because we booked it through that travel agency, Here and Now Travel, and it was like a group mother-daughter trip. We'll get into it more, but it was like 7 mother-daughters, and Here and Now Travel kind of handled everything. But everything is also you can book on your own. Overall, Mom, you can only choose one. What was your favorite highlight of your time in Iceland?
Hiking the glacier.
Mine was probably the waterfalls. I also liked trying Icelandic food. That was interesting.
I did too.
But we'll get into that. 5 days in Iceland. Let's go. So we flew in overnight and landed in Reykjavik at like 6:30 in the morning. And we got to Reykjavik from the airport. The airport is about 45 minutes to an hour away from like actual downtown Reykjavik.
It was really easy getting through the airport. Took a bus, and then they took us to another like central, and then we got on another coach bus and just took us right to our hotel.
Flybus Iceland is going to be the way to go from the airport to your hotel in Reykjavik. And so we got to Reykjavik at like 8 a.m. And do you remember where we went first?
Well, we went to that cute little coffee shop.
It was called Cactus Espresso Bar.
Oh, yeah, because there were cacti on each table.
Cute vibes. We got breakfast there and a coffee, really good coffee, really good breakfast as well, good muffin. And then we went and saw probably the most iconic thing in the city of Reykjavik. Excuse our pronunciation, but I'm going to try it. Hallgrímskirkja Church.
And we took an elevator up to the top, and it had 360-degree views around the city.
Yeah, so the church is like open to the public. It obviously has church services as well, and you can go into the church for free and see the massive organ, and it's a really big church. And then to go up to the top of the tower is, I think it was like $7-8 American US dollars, so not bad, but you do have to pay to go up there, but totally worth it. 100% worth it. I was debating if we should go up there and buy tickets, but I was like, why not? Yep. And super duper worth it.
Yes, the views were amazing. It was fun. And then after that, we went to a restaurant that Malia had chosen called Skal, and it was all Icelandic, traditional Icelandic foods, and the menu was all in Icelandic, so we didn't really know what we were ordering.
We got something called slow roasted celeriac, which was really good, and then we got the cod.
Which was the one that had the flowers?
Oh, the baby gem lettuce.
Yeah,
that was really good.
That was really good.
That was really good.
Gem lettuce.
So that was like authentic Icelandic food. Definitely get reservations. It opens at noon, or at least on Saturday when we were there, it opened at noon, and we got there at, I think our reservation was for noon, and by like 12:30 it was pretty full. Yeah. So definitely book a reservation in advance. So then after that, we kind of had like the afternoon. We still had a few hours before our hotel room was ready. So we just kind of walked around downtown Reykjavik. We saw the Rainbow Road. There's a lot of different shops, from touristy things to music record store, art galleries, just lots of different stuff. And then we went to the Sun Voyager, and it was really cool because we could see the glaciers from across the bay.
Oh, yeah.
And when we were there, the sky was blue. It was gorgeous.
Through the Here and Now travel group, went to this place called the Public House for our welcome dinner with our amazing guide, Julia.
And then after that, we went back down to the Sun Voyager area, and we actually got to see Northern Lights the very first night that we were there.
In the city of Reykjavik.
Yeah, which Julia was saying is kind of rare because it's so lit, the light pollution in downtown of any city. But in Reykjavik, we got to see some Northern Lights. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Day 2. With Here and Now, we got up and it was Golden Circle Day. And I think the best part about Here and Now was that we had a bus and the itinerary all planned out for us, so we didn't have to worry about anything. The bus picked us up in the morning and we were off to the Golden Circle. We stopped at 3 different locations. The first one was a national park, and we got to walk around, see this beautiful view of a glacier with like a lake and a river. And as we were walking around the national park, Yulia had a fun fact for us. We actually took a group photo in between two tectonic plates.
Yep, the European and the North American, where those tectonic plates meet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another great thing that I would recommend about doing this trip with Here and Now or with any type of travel agency is we got out at one spot, we walked around throughout the park, and then our bus was at the other side of the park ready to pick us up. Mm-hmm. So it was just super efficient as we were going from place to place. So after our first stop, we then got to see the geyser.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we saw it go off like, I don't know, 4 times maybe?
Probably more, honestly.
Because it would go off twice in a row.
Yeah, like twice back to back, but then it would settle for a little bit. But it was about like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was pretty quick.
I think it was like 3 to 6 minutes. Every 3 to 6 minutes it would go off. The little streams of water.
And Yulia was saying that it happens, correct me if I'm wrong, but it happens because like underground is like lava because we're on like a volcano or something like that. So the water is boiling and then like bursts, whatever. So it was funny because there was like a lot of like little river streams kind of throughout as we were walking to and from the main geyser. And it was funny because in the beginning, one of our tour mates stuck her hand in one of the little streams to see if the water was warm because we're on a volcano.
Yeah.
And it was warm. But Yulia was like, yeah, don't do that again. It could be boiling.
Yeah. And it was. And then we walked a few more steps and then you could see it bubble. Like the water was bubbling, like boiling.
Yeah. So if you're there, don't stick your hand in anything.
Yeah.
There was a lunch spot right on the road, kind of, because there's not really much in between place to place from where we stopped. So we ate lunch right at the geothermal field location. It was definitely like a hot spot where everyone kind of stops and eats lunch on the way. So this is definitely like a full day thing. And I just kept thinking like, I'm so glad we were here on this group with Here and Now, because a lot of what I saw online was like you can rent a car in Iceland and most people recommend renting a car. And like if you can be a passenger princess, like great. But if you're alone or gonna have to be the driver, like to me, first of all, I love sleeping on buses and in the car, so I would have fallen asleep. Plus, then you can't look at the window when you're focused on the road.
Right.
So again, another reason why I would recommend Here and Now and
a
travel group agency thing. And then our last stop on the Golden Circle for today was the waterfall. This was like something I had never even seen on the internet. Gorgeous. And then we took the long road back to Reykjavik. So that was kind of our 3 main stops on the Golden Circle. That night we went to the Aurora Base Camp.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of like, I've seen it online before, but it's kind of almost looks like an igloo, but it's like huge. And it's where you can go watch for northern lights in warmth, so you're not outside. But it was too bad because it was cloudy for us that night.
Yep.
But it was actually a lot of fun. Like it would have been awesome to see the northern lights that night, but it was so much fun because it was literally like a campfire. So all of us mother daughters just like hung around the fire. It was a lot of fun. And we had marshmallows.
Yeah.
And they were very good. Very good marshmallows. Day 3, the first stop was the lake, and that was really cool because our bus driver, Hlynur, took us right up onto a like cliff type thing, and you could see the lake. It was like all in front of you was the lake with the glaciers in the background, and behind you was more glacier mountain. We were only there for probably like 15-20 minutes, but it was gorgeous. We took a lot of photos for sure.
It was breathtaking. It was just...
We took our next spot to a hot spring hotspot, and this place, oh my God, it was crazy. Because there were so many hot springs. All of the water was like boiling hot.
Yes.
So there was so much steam coming from all of the water, and it was all like little like river stream type things. It wasn't even a huge thing.
Like they were only like maybe 2 feet wide.
Yeah. And it was interesting, but there was like a walking loop that we walked through that took us like up into the hot springs, and just so we could see a little bit more in a little different angle and around and back. But what was the most assaulting thing for you?
The smell?
Yeah. I don't know why I said for you. 'Cause it was,
I mean, I didn't think it was bad.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
did.
mind it.
I did.
I didn't mind it, but there were like
I did.
2 spots where we all of a sudden it was like, whoa.
it was painful. So that put a little asterisk on the beauty for me, but it was a lot of fun for sure. And then we went to Grindavik for lunch. She got fish and chips. Papa's restaurant in Grindavik with
Okay.
the best
Fish and chips in the world,
yes.
in my opinion.
And then after lunch, we went to the Sky Lagoon. So I think when people hear Iceland or Reykjavik, they always think of the Blue Lagoon, which is amazing. We didn't actually go to the Blue Lagoon because there was some volcanic activity, so they were nervous that it could erupt or something could happen at the Blue Lagoon. But I had also seen online that the Blue Lagoon has become incredibly touristy and commercialized, and just kind of, just not as authentic to like Icelandic people. So I had seen the Sky Lagoon being recommended over the Blue Lagoon. So I was actually excited that we, instead of going to the Blue Lagoon, got to go to the Sky Lagoon. Do you remember the 7 steps?
We go into the hot tub. And is that the one that you could see the ocean from?
Yes.
The big lagoon thing? It had an edge that was the everlasting
Infinity pool.
everlasting infinity. Same meaning. The infinity pool. So it went over the edge, overlooking the ocean. It was breathtaking. It was really pretty. And then there's a small little waterfall you could go up to. And there was a bar where you could get, fun, refreshing drinks in plastic little glasses to go around with.
I got the crowberry.
Ooh, it was good.
I believe it was called the crowberry martini, and crowberry is a berry authentic to Iceland, and it was amazing.
It was very
kind of tasted
sweet.
like pink lemonade.
Yes, that's what
Yeah, so that was very good. Just rocks, and I think it was all natural too, which
yes,
was
it
really
was.
cool.
There was like moss on the rocks and grass. It was
Just
all
gorgeous.
natural. Yeah, it was definitely
So
natural.
when you go in, you go to the locker room, change into your swimsuit, go into the lagoon, the hot tub area, and you can spend as much time there as you please. So we had our crowberry martinis, and then we did our 7-step process of the lagoon, the
For your
rejuvenation
skin,
process.
Yes, and I am proud to say that we both went into the cold plunge. Did you put I went underwater completely.
I don't think you need to ice your brain.
That'd be good for my face. I don't know. I went underwater completely. And it was, and then it was, there are words. And then we got out of the cold plunge, which was very invigorating. And from the cold plunge, we went into a
Sauna.
Oh, we went right into the sauna, which was the most amazing sauna ever. I loved that. That was one of my favorite parts of the whole trip. And then from the sauna, we went to the rain room,
Mist, yeah.
the mist room. So we're in between these 2 big rocks, and it's open at the top, and then human-created mist is coming down. It's cold, and you really enjoyed that.
Our guide, Yulia, she kind of went through it with my mom and I, not with everyone, because we kind of broke off while we were in the Sky Lagoon. And that was her favorite part as well, just running through the mist, because it was a cold mist.
Yes.
So it was a little scary going into it, because I'm like, oh God, more cold. But like from the sauna to this cold mist, it was very refreshing and very nice. Yes. And then we got a body scrub.
Yes.
So they gave us a little cup, a little bowl of body scrub to rub all over our body except our face. It was a good exfoliant. And then there was also some oils and sea salt and stuff in there, which was awesome. And then once we rubbed it all over our skin, we went into the steam room to help it absorb it into our skin.
You were supposed to stay in there until all the mixture was absorbed into your skin.
And that was amazing as well. Showered quick to get it off of us.
And we went back to the lagoon.
And Yulia was saying that a lot of locals will do the Sky Lagoon as like a spa day, which sounds amazing. Well, I would love to do a spa day like that. We went back to Reykjavik. So the Sky Lagoon is on the peninsula south of Reykjavik's peninsula, so it was only about like a 30-minute drive. from the Sky Lagoon back to Reykjavik. And then we did dinner on our own. And we went to Old Iceland this day.
Ooh, yeah.
I got the lamb, she got the cod. Both very good.
But before we did that, we got the shellfish soup, which
Quickly became my mother's favorite food.
oh my goodness. If I could eat it every day, I would.
So yeah, I would definitely recommend going to Old Iceland if you're in Reykjavik for dinner one day for some like authentic Icelandic food. Because it super cute vibes, pretty small. There was only probably 10 to 12 tables in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then get some authentic food. The lamb was good. The cod was good. The shellfish soup was great. So then after that, we were pretty tired, so we didn't go out. But the rest of the mother-daughters went to a place called the Bookstore Bar, which was on the main like shopping street of Reykjavik. And they just said it was a hoot and a holler.
Live music.
Live music, and it's like a bar inside of a bookstore. It looked really cool. Like I kind of wish we had went, but we needed to sleep.
Yeah,
so.
we got to prioritize. So
Yeah. Day 4.
Waterfalls.
That was amazing. Good job. Good job, content queen.
Love that.
Waterfalls, I think, are one of the main things you hear about when you go to Iceland or think of Iceland. And I don't know about you, but that was another one of those things where I don't think I had ever even pictured it in my brain. It was so magnificent.
Yeah. The word surreal kept coming up. It's beyond anything.
We went to 3 different waterfalls. We went to Seljalandsfoss.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Which was about a 40-minute drive from Reykjavik. And then we went to Skogafoss, which is probably the most recognizable or famous one in Iceland. And then we went to Kuvernufoss. Foss means waterfall. All 3 of those places had parking lots. If you are driving yourself, which is nice, or with a bus tour, because there was, along with Here and Now, there was also a lot of different like buses and like there's different travel companies, and even with Flybus, the transportation from the airport to Reykjavik, they have tours that you can book as well. But Skogafoss, the most famous one, there's 435 steps that you can walk up to see it from the top. So we did it. And obviously, like, our opinion was kind of like, well, we're only in Iceland once, might as well do it.
Yeah.
But if you're, like, debating, I think you can pass on it. Because it was crowded up there, and even in the spots that you could see it, I just think it was more magnificent from the bottom.
Definitely.
You don't have to go up to the top. But another tip I would say is if you're brave enough, there is the waterfall, and then there's, like, a little middle area of rocks and, like, land, if you will, and then the river kind of goes on either side, and then most people are on the one side. But if you're brave, you can go through the little river to the middle spot. But I would recommend going in the middle because you got the best photos. You could see the full waterfall. And when we were there, the sun was shining so bright. There was a full rainbow. The last waterfall of the day was my favorite of the day. So we walked through this little like big field area that had horses.
It was definitely a hike. You had to take a hike to get there. You couldn't see it from the road. So you're at the waterfall and you have to go down a fairly steep hill with like loose rocks. So you have to have some coordination, stability, core strength, to get down. And then we get behind the waterfall and you can see the waterfall coming down.
And then you could also go down in the front because where the main like looking spot is, it's kind of like up on this little area, but you can go, there's a little path to go down. So we were right by like the river area from the waterfall, and we actually filled up our water bottle.
Yes, to drink.
It was some of the best water I've ever drank.
The best. Even the next morning, you drank it and you were just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then once we were done with the waterfalls, we went to a black sand beach, and there were, first of all, black sand. I couldn't get over it. I kept like touching it.
It was really funny. You kept putting your hand down and putting it in your hand. And I think she asked me like 3 or 4 times, is this really sand?
No, because it's like it's literally sand. But it's black.
Because it came from the lava. It's called erosion.
So that night we stayed in Vic and we got to see the Northern Lights.
Oh my gosh.
Like strong and big and insane.
Green and bluish.
It was unbelievable. So our first night in Reykjavik, we could really only see the Northern Lights. With the naked eye, it was essentially like a white strip in the sky, kind of looking like a cloud. But then when you would take a photo with your phone with the light dark mode or whatever the mode is on the iPhone, you could see it. You could see the green.
The green, yeah.
But here, you could see this bright green with your naked eye.
Yep.
Which was insane.
And it filled
the sky.
2/3 of the sky. And we were on the beach looking at these Northern Lights, which was incredible.
Not only the Northern Lights, but the stars. We could see the redness of Mars.
Yeah, we saw Mars and
Jupiter, the Dipper, seeing the moonlight on the ocean and hearing the waves and seeing the Northern Lights in the sky and the stars. And it was amazing. Yeah. And then we went to bed.
Yeah, we went to bed.
Day 5. Our last day in Iceland, we hiked a glacier.
We did.
We hiked a glacier.
We had crampons. The claws on those things were a good inch.
Inch and a half, maybe?
Yeah. They were big crampons.
And we actually had a different guide. Yulia was there, so she was helping out for sure. But Valerio was our guide for this hike. So we got these massive, massive crampons. We had to have a helmet. We had to have an ice pick. Valerio was talking about how the glacier has moved over the past year, years. And he was like, yeah, and then way up there is where it was in 1990. It was weird to see that, in the past 10 years, it's moved this substantial amount. It was interesting because it was, all ice and snow, but the crampons were doing their thing. And we got to take some photos in the crevices. So that was really cool, seeing ice just on either side of you. We got to the top and then it plateaus, and he said it went on for 11 kilometers, that plateau. And that's just that's the start of the glacier. So it was cool. It was amazing to just be out in nature and hiking. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. After the glacier, we had a little bit of extra time, so Yulia surprised us.
Yay, Yulia!
With another waterfall that I think
most amazing.
Maybe was my favorite part of the trip, and I would recommend you have to see this and do it if you can. It was in the same area as the first waterfall from the day before, Salandrafoss. We get there and she's like, okay, here we are, and it's 2 big rocks. Well, mountains, whatever. Yeah. And there's a crack in them. And she's like, yeah, you can go down there and look around. And it's this cave, essentially.
Yes, it's a cave.
With 200 feet tall waterfall. And you can go in it. And it was amazing. So we went down there.
You will get wet at that waterfall.
Yes.
For sure. So you're in a cave, like a cylinder-shaped cave. Mostly cylinder. And then just this waterfall falling down. And you could look up and see a little bit of the sky because the opening wasn't that large.
Just amazing. So if you're ever, when you go to Iceland and you go to Seljalandsfoss, go to the left. You're going to get there, go to the left and walk a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of people there. Find that waterfall. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And then it was a 2.5-hour bus ride back to Reykjavik. Again, shout out to Here and Now. They had the bus all set up for us, and we got to sleep on the bus, which was really nice. And then we had our farewell dinner at Duck and Rose in downtown Reykjavik. It was right down on the main street, about 20-minute walk from our hotel. I really liked that because it wasn't just Icelandic food. There was some pasta and some other stuff, and it was very, very good. So another good, solid restaurant recommendation. And and then after dinner we said goodbye to everyone and headed back to our hotel before our flight early in the morning. So that was kind of our itinerary. When you're preparing for your Iceland trip, what do you need to pack? Name your top 3 items. Need.
The time of the year that we're going, definitely a warm, waterproof and windproof jacket. Waterproof hiking boots. Gloves with the touch screen capability.
You're right about the gloves. If I could only choose one of them, gloves for sure. But we also brought rainproof pants, waterproof pants, thermals that you can get from anywhere.
Yeah, the thermals are a must.
Your top 3 tips, if anyone were to say, I'm thinking about going to Iceland, what should I consider or think about?
I think number 1 is I would go with a travel group. I would not want to go and rent a car and do my own thing. Strong, sturdy, waterproof footwear. And number 3, you are going to want to take a ton of pictures. So
Get that extra storage.
yeah, exactly.
So my top 3 tips with her are do group tours, group agencies, something like that, so that you're not stuck planning and mapping everything out and driving everywhere. Do a group tour. Second tip would be spend some time in Reykjavik. It's super easy to stay in Reykjavik and then leave every day because everything is all kind of around the area, all of the beautiful nature. But Reykjavik itself is a really cool city with lots of cool different little shops and restaurants and things to do and things to see. So spend some time in Reykjavik. And then my third tip is bring a backpack that you feel comfortable enough like bringing it all around, because you're gonna want layers because you're gonna be taking them on and off. So I would say bring a bag and potentially a waterproof bag. I hope this gave you guys a little bit more insight into traveling to Iceland. It is a trip of a lifetime, and I can't wait to go back one day. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next trip.